Hi, my name is Seth Yanklewitz. I'm 5'11", and I was raised in Hollywood, Florida.
When it comes to working in entertainment, there's a lot of hows, and they all boil down to how we navigate this wild industry. While how we follow our dreams is uncertain, how we roll along the way is in our hands. Welcome to How We Roll, a podcast for actors by casting networks.
Friends, I am so thrilled to share some time together with veteran casting director Seth Yanklewitz. How are you doing today, Seth?
I am awesome. It's a great day. The Emmy nominations, maybe there's some excitement this year. I don't know. Could be, maybe.
I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to get into all that in Deli Boys. I'm loving Deli
Yes.
Boys. If you're not watching this show, you're truly missing out. And so my fingers and toes are crossed for you. But before we get there, I just want to say, in researching you and learning more about you, in asking friends about you, I truly admire the way you seem to lead with kindness and joy in this industry. And
Oh,
it
thanks.
feels good to see a good person win. So I'm
Well,
extra excited.
that is touching and appreciative, and I guess I got to give credit to my mom and dad.
Aw.
Yeah, I look, I was trained by one of the grand dames of this business, and it was tough. It was a tough training, and
Mm,
obviously I'm better for it, and times are different, and a lot of the old ways no longer occur, but
yeah.
I also worked in corporate jobs where the atmosphere was tough, and I just, when you spend so much time in a room with actors and you understand the daily heartbreak that they have to go through, not
Yeah.
for any other reason than they can't get every single job they audition for,
Yeah.
you sort of just have to open your heart a little bit more to
Mm,
everyone and and give of yourself a little bit more than not. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess that's sort of how I've always run my rooms and run my sessions and dealt with, you know, um, every job was just maybe a little kinder and happier and more
mm.
joyful. Look, especially now, there's so much to not be joyful about that, like,
I
we got to
know.
find the joy and happy everywhere we can.
Yeah, you got to find the joy, you got to find the happy. And I so appreciate that. I mean, every person I've talked to that knows you has said, now that I did this whole like creepy research situation, I'm like, I went deep, I called the FBI. Everyone said that you are just so funny, so kind, you bring the party. And I love to hear that because if we all did that on our own little corners of the world,
Yeah.
I mean, how much brighter would the world be? And I think it's interesting too. You mentioned that rejection, that open heart. I know casting's used to that on a different
Yeah.
level now as well, especially when you dabble in independent casting as you're
Right.
now back in,
Yeah.
because you get rejected and it almost becomes a superpower,
All the
right?
all the time. In fact, I'm literally sitting waiting for them to actually send me the rejection email or get the call on a movie I met on, because we
Mm,
met like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago at this point and haven't heard. And I'm like, their casting was supposed to start fast. So I'm just
yeah,
waiting for someone to officially tell me I didn't get it. But like, it is what it is, right? I got to have the
yeah.
meeting. I got to meet new producers, and if it's not this one, it'll
Mm.
be the next one.
I love that. What do you do in that waiting period as a casting professional? Because I feel like it's hard not to psych yourself out sometimes.
I don't psych myself out anymore. I mean,
That's good.
certainly were times, where like I needed the job very badly for like money for my kid, like things that
Mm.
like for life, right? So you get a little cuckoo, but luckily I'm having a good run. And so, you know, I usually give it like a good 5 days, like 1 week, and then I like
Mm.
send a like, hey, checking in email. I'm real good at the checking in
I
email.
love that. Yeah,
Um,
friendly hello.
like a gentle nudge, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Um, and so I did do that, and he was like, "Oh, they're meeting one more person, like, well, next week." But next week came, and then holiday came, and so that's why I'm assuming we didn't get it. But that's okay.
Listen, yeah, you never know. It's so funny because as actors, that is such a parallel journey, that waiting and waiting and waiting. Now I want to sing that song Waiting from Shrek the Musical. And I also want to sing They Called Me Cuckoo. Do you know that from Death
Right.
Becomes Her? Because you said cuckoo. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I gotta calm down. But one thing you did not get rejected for, Seth, was
Yeah.
the Academy of Motion Pictures class of 2025. I just saw this on your
Good.
Instagram. Congratulations. Tell
Thank
us about that.
you.
That's
It
so
was
amazing.
oddly enough, back when all of my big movies were big, like casting directors weren't in the academy in the way that they are now.
Mm,
And so, because back then you had to get invited by a producer, if I'm correct. And now that we have our own branch and all the things, so I really got in for my past body of work. As much as like, yes, I still do movies, but not big, huge blockbuster movies like, I sort of
mm,
got started in doing
yeah.
and did with my old partner Jewel. Yeah, it was my second chance at trying and I got in and it's truly an honor. Like I don't I need to emphasize like how cool it is that to get into the academy. Like it's
Mm,
not just like you work in Hollywood and you get accepted. Like it's not, I got
yeah.
into the television academy when I got nominated for an Emmy for New Girl. Like so, that came to me, that one,
Yeah.
this one I had to like work a little to get. And so it made it a little sweeter when I got in and I was very fortunate to have three very big casting directors nominate me and support me
Mm.
in my trek to get in. And, I now get to join a cool class of people.
Yeah, and what a year to join. I mean, we have finally a casting category coming. How does that feel? I mean, I can't imagine that with all of you that have been in this and fighting for so long, to see this come to fruition must be,
Yeah,
I
like
mean, out of
I'll for
body.
sure give, credit where credit's due. David Rubin, Richard Hicks, Deb Zane, Kim Coleman. Um, I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting. Bernie Telsey,
Mm,
who really fought to get an Academy Award. And that's on top of the people in the past who tried
mm,
and, maybe weren't successful. But like this group really, and I've been around and either worked with or hired when I was a studio exec, most of these people. So it's an honor. It's an honor.
yeah.
And it'll be amazing to get to check a ballot box in the first, uh, Academy Award for a casting director.
Yeah, historic. That's gonna go
Yeah,
in the museum, which is
yeah,
so much fun. And they're
yeah,
not sponsoring this episode, but maybe they should.
and
Before we get into all this even further, we gotta hop back in that DeLorean, go back in time, because
yeah,
I just need to ask you a little bit about your early beginnings here and mine your beautiful brain for insights for all the actors listening and
yeah,
casting professionals listening too. You walked a similar yellow brick road that I think a lot of casting folks walked, maybe not as much nowadays because there's a bit more resources, but you thought you wanted to be an actor. I don't need to tell you this. And then at
yeah,
NYU, you were like, "Meh, meh, nope." And then I believe you worked with Liz Lewis casting. That was sort of your first
correct.
foray into the business. Can you just talk about that pivot and sort of trusting yourself? Because you made that decision at a young age and you're still doing it. And I think that's so admirable. And a lot of us don't trust those feelings that we get and they can pass us by.
Yeah, as I've said 100 times, and you sort of said, I realized after my first semester of Tisch that I didn't want to act.
Mm.
But I also knew that I didn't want to do a math or science class. And so
No, 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 no.
so I stayed in the acting program. But really, they give you a paragraph in a binder full of paragraphs for internships. And I
Mm,
sat up on, I think it was the third floor at Tisch, or yeah, the third floor or fourth at the administration floor and read through the book. And, it was like, you get to act, you get to direct, you get to be with actors. And it all sounded really exciting. And I
mm,
applied and I got it, the internship for the spring and it was with Liz Lewis Casting, and I never left. And I
mm,
immediately fell in love, and it truly felt like I got to do everything I would have ever wanted to do. I was acting because I read with actors. I was running a camera. You gave them
mm.
direction. So like obviously on a small scale level, it felt like a full circle of job, right?
Yeah.
And I was good at it. and
Mm,
so I worked my way up pretty fast through her company. Um, and yeah, and there was no looking back. So I
yeah.
started that at 20,
Wow.
not 20 now. So it's been a while, but
That's so
yeah,
special.
yeah, and I guess I've always led with like my heart and my brain
Mm,
simultaneously, right? Like even if the job wasn't going to be the most money, but like I had to do it creatively, I made the leap, right? When I
mm,
left with Lewis, like I made the leap because I was
yeah.
like, there's got to be more than commercials out there for me. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know how to get to it, but like I just thought there was. And so that
Yeah.
risk paid off. And then from that risk paying off got me to my first assistant job in LA
Mm.
with Bonnie Timmerman and my first movie, which was Pearl Harbor as the assistant.
Casual way to start. Before we get too far down that road, I gotta
Yeah.
say I did call up Liz and she went on and on about you. She called you the life of the party. She said she still misses you in the office to this day because you just made everything so much brighter and more fun. And she told me to ask you, what floats your boat the most in the day-to-day job of casting? Because as actors may think, it's all auditions. That's probably what, like 25% of your day. There's a lot more going on. So
Yeah.
what floats your boat? Liz wants to know.
Nowadays, I really love sort of the puzzle of putting the ensemble together, even if, right, we're not at role 3, 4, and 5 or 5, 6, and 7. Like
Mm,
we're constantly like thinking about who will fit. So, I also love the attachment process. I
yeah.
do a lot of it, attaching the leads, whether it's in my TV work or in my
Mm,
indie movie work. I find it sort of invigorating, and it's what makes the job different. Even though it's the same job, it's still different, right?
yeah.
Because like it's a new set of agents that you have to like beg, not beg, but convince and share the story and
Yeah.
explain why and like, get everyone like jazzed. Like it's a bit of a salesman's job,
Mm,
especially when you're attaching at the beginning. So yeah, that's sort
yeah.
of my day-to-day excitement.
Yeah, and I know Deli Boys was a completely different process for you in this regard, but as you mentioned, sort of attaching a lead and then building them around it, can you just describe what that process is like in a nutshell for actors? Because I'm assuming, and what I've read is that you have to build out the rest of the cast sort of based on the star, but how much does like the star being attached inform that? And how do you figure out? I feel like chemistry reads aren't done as much anymore. Maybe they are with big ensembles like you put together, but how do you kind of like figure that part out?
Um, so chemistry reads are still a thing, even when it's
Okay.
big. And usually when you get like the star who may greenlight it, they're so willing and invested that they want to be part of the process. And so
Mm,
they're like, I'll read with any actors you want, which by the way, they mean and they do, and it's really helpful. It really, I just did a show, not a movie, but a show for it's called The Wonder Project, part of Amazon Prime, and we put Scott Foley as the lead male, and he
oh,
was
cool.
cast first in sort of the foundation, and he
Yeah.
read with every single female opposite him that we put in front of him,
Mm,
and it honestly informed everything, and we flew him in for it, and he was game, and like he really went the extra mile. And I mean, he's spectacular in and itself, but
yeah.
as like the nicest guy in Hollywood reputation, and like
Oh, I love that.
I'm here
And
to
in Connecticut, I think, isn't it? I
yeah,
think
yeah, and
he
but I'm
lives
here
down the
to
road.
confirm. but
Okay, nice.
but yeah, it's first getting the base or the foundation really helps then, because then we know, you know the age of the next person. Like
Mm,
who do you believe they fall in love with, or who could be their child, who could not be their child. Like, I'm a big believer in like let's change a line in the story and have one of the kids adopted. I have adopted children, and then that way we can have diversity. Like there's so many
yeah.
things you can do, but if you once you know who your base is, it helps and informs as you go outward.
Oh, I love that. I was at the Artios this year, and Bernie Telsey talked about how Anne Hathaway read with each and every actor for The Idea of You. Was that the film? I really enjoyed it. But even just to hear, like you're saying with Scott, someone
Yeah,
of that caliber putting in that much passion, and it makes sense because they want it to be good and they want to click with people.
yeah,
And you're someone who seems to really just find people that click. I almost think of what you do as creating communities.
uh,
And as someone who leads with kindness, I wonder, how do you gauge that when you're putting together an ensemble? How do you sort of gauge how easy it is, not only to work with an actor, but how they're going to be as a team player?
it's a very good question, and there's a lot of work put into it, which
Mm,
might be sort of our secret to keep. But
okay.
you do want to have an amazing set. And you
Mm,
do want to create a safe and amazing atmosphere. And you want people, look, an actor's job is to give and receive, right? And if you're not willing to give, it's extremely hard for someone else to give so you can receive.
mm,
And, Hollywood talks and behaviors are known, and it is extremely helpful when you cast a number one or number two that lead by example and with respect, and
mm.
be as committed to your craft as possible and be as in character as possible and do your work,
Yeah.
but if you're number one for a reason, and it matters.
Yeah. It all trickles down from the
Yeah.
top. I wonder, do you have any advice for actors out there on honing their teamwork skills? I mean, that sounds so funny. Besides just being a good person, because things feel very insular now. Like,
Yeah.
we have our self-tape set up, and
Yeah.
sometimes we have a reader, sometimes they're FaceTiming in, whatever you need to do to get it in.
Yeah.
But it can become very insular. So do you have any thoughts there?
You know, well, watch the number one on when you're on set.
Mm,
Watch how they talk to the producers, watch how they talk to the director, watch how they talk to the gaffer, watch how they talk to costumes. Like, hopefully, knock on wood, you get an amazing number one who is there and you can learn from example. Like,
mm,
everyone is there working to make the best show possible,
yeah.
right? And so I think, like, again, like, doing your work, showing up on time, knowing your lines when you get the job, right? Not necessarily for an audition to have it memorized, but like
Yeah.
these are all things that set examples for younger actors. So
Mm,
again, like, as quickly as you become a star is as quickly as you cannot be a star, right?
mm,
In this business, like, and
yeah.
it can revolve around behaviors. So I just urge everyone young starting, like, be humble, listen, learn, like, watch everything as you're on set. Like, you don't have to go home. Maybe sit in the back of the stage and watch how the lighting is set. Watch the director
Yeah.
set up a camera. Learn as much as you can. I mean, there's so much more access these days. Like, it's usually a director won't mind if you stand in the back and just watch them
Mm.
while they're shooting a scene that you're not in, or
Unless you're Seth Rogen in the studio, then they're like,
right,
Did you see that episode?" Yeah.
right, or if it's like coverage, like, be there to do the coverage for your actor. Don't make them
Mm,
act with no one. Like, that's a huge thing for actors. Like,
yeah.
you're able and willing and they let you, like, be the actor acting off screen for
Mm,
in the role. So yeah, there's a ton of things that actors can do.
yeah, I love that. And even as someone starting out, I think be someone's reader. Volunteer your
Oh,
time to
for
just read
sure.
with somebody, and I think that extends.
Every time I talk to, like, a graduating class of university students, or I go in to speak to an acting school, I always say, like, look around, you now have 32 readers for your audition. Like, you should never not
Yeah.
be reading for someone or asking someone to read for you. Like, that's
Mm,
what this community is about. Like, yes, they're competition, yes, you're going to go up against them, but, like, take them on the journey, right?
yeah.
That's
And
my
it gives back to you too. I mean, that's when I first
course.
started. I loved being a reader back when we went into offices
Yeah.
more because
Yeah.
I learned so much. And then sometimes you see these luminaries coming in and you see them flub a line. You see that they're really good, but they're just not right for the part. And I mean, you learn so much with that bird's eye view. And speaking of the luminaries, you've worked with so many people we all look up to. I wonder if you've seen a common thread in them all and how they conduct themselves. Is it that kindness? Like, do you have an example of someone you thought did it the best? And
Sandra Bullock
ah, that
is
doesn't surprise me.
is I literally I did one movie with her. She was a producer as well as the lead actress. And if someone was like, you can't do anything else for the rest of your career except jobs for her, I would be like, thank you very much. Like, it was a master class in star power. It was
Mm,
a master class in giving and caring and working for the better of the project and fighting for what was right. And it was
wow.
one of the best experiences I've ever had on a movie.
Oh, I love that. Was there anything tangible she did that you wish other people recreated on sets?
No, I mean,
Or it's
it
just
was
her like vibe?
just the way she protected like the director and fought for like the integrity of the movie and what her
Mm,
vision was, whether it was right or wrong. Like, she had a vision, they had a vision, and she went to bat for it. And that is a star, right? That
mm,
is why she is one of the top, what, three female stars in the world. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
Like,
Yeah.
look, it takes time to get that. Not every actress can do what she did. So,
Yeah.
she certainly worked her way up to it. I'm sure she wasn't doing that 25 years ago, but
Yeah.
like, or 30 years ago, but like, I'm just saying, like, it was so magical to see her care so much about
Hmm.
minutia,
Yeah.
you know?
And that could be vulnerable too. It's like
Yeah.
let yourself care, just like how you care about independent casting. What an odd transition. You're
Yes.
back in this world with Yanklewitz-Polak. Congratulations
Thank you.
on
Thank you.
this and all the things. I'm just gonna keep congratulating you on a loop. You can like pull the string, and I'll be like, congratulations. You were the executive vice president of casting and talent at NGM, and you've worked at other networks, before that. I wonder, how does your experience as an executive now shape how you come back to independent casting? Like, what are you taking
Yeah.
with you from that time?
Well, that's a great question. And so much. Like, I always say what I bring now is I know the conversations that are happening and what they're saying when the
Mm,
casting director hands over the actors for approvals. I can also sort of alert my producers from the start what will be needed. A lot of casting
mm,
directors are like, this is my art and we have to just find the best actor. But the truth is, it is show business for a reason, right? There is
mm.
marketing, there is publicity, there is getting people's butts in seats in theaters and getting them to turn their TVs on and watch things. And that comes
Yeah.
recognizable actors and people you can sort of see on screen that and that's why you check it out. And so,
Mm,
as someone who like worked inside, like I get to say to my producers now as an independent, like they're gonna want somebody recognizable in this part. We should really focus on these names, or like let's go this direction, or like listen, we're never gonna get sold or picked up if we don't have enough diversity. Like
mm,
we have to have more diversity, like, and say like these roles we should be diverse, right? And really push at producers and directors and writers into those
mm.
those directions, as it were.
Yeah. I knew you were serious about that because you couldn't see everybody, but you took your glasses off at one point, and I said,
Yeah.
this is serious. No, I love that you took all that
Yeah, yeah,
down for us. And I wonder, speaking of that diversity, you've talked a lot about how it was so important, specifically with Deli Boys, which
yeah,
congratulations again. The show is so good and it's giving me so many different notes of different genres while it's
yeah,
hilarious as
yeah,
well, which is kind of the movement. Everything's blending nowadays. I wonder, having worked on so many high profile projects and then coming to this where I believe at the top they said, we want this to be an authentic cast.
Yeah.
And you had that challenge. I
Yeah.
think you literally put flyers up in Chicago neighborhoods to find authentic talent,
In
which is
LA.
amazing.
LA too. Everywhere.
Well, can you share a little bit about what you
Sure.
learned through this
So
process?
Abdullah Saeed, our creator, and then Jenny Connor, and Nora Silver, our producers. Their biggest thing once we got the job was like authentic. We are not going to just like put an Indian actor in and say they're Pakistani. No, not going to happen.
Mm,
Right? There was no going to be like a Syrian actor playing an Indian. Like it just was not going to happen. So right away, there were no big names to put in it. I mean, there was Hassan Minaj. He was not available. We had to move on.
mm,
Right? Like, so we had to do a deep dive, and look, I know I've had a couple interviews and I've said like, we put posters, and I know it can be standard for casting. It's just, that's like how it used to happen, right? Like,
mm.
not everyone is having open calls and like literally walking the streets asking people if like their aunt, their grandma, like, do they have a cousin that will audition? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really happen that way anymore. So I know like some people might have heard me say that and they're like, we do that every project. Okay, sure, but like not really, right? Because I've
Yeah.
a lot of projects. And yes, you have to go far and wide, and maybe you've looked online, or you've asked an agent. Like, but like we were on our feet walking into delis and restaurants and
Mm,
bakeries and like any temple or or mosque anywhere, and we were like, do you mind, we're doing a show, it is respectful of Muslims and Pakistanis, we're looking for and we had to audition anyone that we could find. Like, we
wow.
really, like, we couldn't say no just because they had no experience. We had to
Mm,
audition them because we never knew what raw talent would come out of it.
yeah.
And there were so many small roles as the episodes were going to go, that even if they weren't right for one of the big roles, we might be able to use them for a smaller role. So we had to
Yeah.
hold on to them, right? And Marissa Ross and Crystal in Chicago, they did an amazing job. And, it was truly a collaboration once we got episodically to like, we got this person, you got that person. Should we fly them out? Like, no, I think we got it covered here. Like, we
Yeah.
found someone's grandma. She read, we're going to get you the tape. Like, it
Oh my
was,
gosh, that's so fun. I
yeah.
was going to ask you too, what was the most wild find this time around? It sounded like there might have been a lot of them, but was there something that took you down a wild path where you ultimately cast this person? I mean,
Um,
someone's grandma is pretty.
yeah. I mean, I think it was like someone's aunt, like, who auditioned and like got like
Yeah.
the Indian mom role. But like there were a lot of like, I have a friend, the other part of this, there were so many different gangs, like, there were
Mm,
like Asian gangs and like, that we had to dig into those communities as well. And it was like a small faction in Asia that this gang came from, and it like just so happened. I mean, like, this
wow.
guy Will Trong, who played in there, he like had long hair. So yeah, that's, well, we did a lot of it, a lot,
Yeah.
in every in every episode, in every category.
The nomination, which we're manifesting and it's going to happen, is going to be well deserved. I feel like this was such an adventure. As I mentioned earlier, this show is also a great example of blended genre. Obviously, it's a comedy, but the high stakes action is so intense.
So intense.
I wonder, I guess, two things. How can you tell an actor understands the rhythm or the tone right away? And then how can you put that into a bit of advice for our listeners? Because I think that's something early on that
Yeah.
people can miss.
So obviously, like, a show like New Girl or Single Parents, right, or
Yeah.
How I Met Your Father, is
Mm,
very different than Deli Boys.
yeah.
I'm not quite sure even I understood the rhythm until the table read, right? Because it
Mm,
went way faster way higher intensity than it read. And
Mm,
that's just a testament to like Nisha Ganatra, the director, Abdullah Saeed, Jenny, and Nora and Michelle Nader, who then became the showrunner,
yeah.
on set, like upping the levels, right? And
Yeah.
giving, Asif Ali, I will say, also set a great tone as a number one. His comedy is that as well,
Mm,
right? And I think once like he set that bar, and then Sagar, who brought it down a little because of his sort of character, and
mm.
then you bring in like the brilliant Porna as Lucky. It's just like
Obsessed.
I said
Yeah.
this, I think, on stage with her, at an academy sort of screening. I was like, I knew she was brilliant. I knew I had to have her the minute Lucky was a female. I wasn't I don't even know if I knew how brilliant she actually is, right? Like, to
Yes.
pull this show off, like it's next level comedic brilliance. And like I think once she matched Asif and like it just brilliantly came together. And that's the producers. That's Jenny Connor and Nora and Michelle Nader.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, even just looking at the fact of like she'll shoot and kill someone, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that hasn't
Yeah,
seen it. And then there's a joke moment after that she lands the joke.
yeah,
It's like people understand of that level
yeah,
where the joke needs to sort of be and how to make it sing.
yeah.
I'm such a fan of hers. Oh my gosh, she's incredible.
Nisha Ganatra, the director of the pilot, right, who obviously sets the tone, talked how Abdullah and her would be, during filming, like speaking in their native language to each other, and like just
Mm,
talking to like have a shorthand. And I think like in a weird way that like fed down and like
yeah.
got everybody amped. And
Mm,
it's just they knew how to like do it.
yeah. I mean, you all know how to do it. This show is so good. And I'm, again, crossing my fingers for you. I got to ask you a Casting Network's member question. This is from
Oh,
at Amina Anina. She noticed that you work with a lot of the same actors who I'm sure have become your friends over the years.
okay.
She wants to know, how often do you bring folks back and what is it that makes you want to work with them again?
Great question, Amina. Yeah, look, I think casting directors fall in love with actors. That's our job, right? We fall in love with, and we like to reuse people. We like to keep employing actors. There's also, look, our reputations are on the line when we send someone to set. Like, because we're not there to babysit you. And if an
Mm,
actor has bad behavior, it comes back to us. Believe me,
yeah.
we are the first to hear about it.
Mm,
Or if something not it doesn't have to be bad behavior, like God forbid something goes wrong, or if the acting isn't the way it was in the audition, like we hear right away. So, you
yeah.
know, when you build up a sort of repertoire of actors, you like reusing them. And then on the converse of that is, especially in the beginning of my career, Jewel Bestrop, who was my partner, in her workings with like Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller,
Mm,
where I got my comedic casting education from all those guys.
yeah.
They like comedy guys like to reuse their comedy friends. And if you go
Yeah.
back, those early movies like Rob Riggle, Ed Helms, Sudeikis, like they're all playing small parts in the bigger movies, and that's how they rose to then being number one on their call sheets, right?
Mm,
They played the small parts. It's always in the comedy world, you say like do one great scene in something and get recognized.
yeah.
So come in, do an amazing scene, be hysterical, and I guarantee you people are going to be like, oh my God, I got to bring that person in for my next job.
Yeah, you're so right. It's like Rebel Wilson and Bridesmaids. I mean, Steve Buscemi in the Adam Sandler movies. It happens over and over and over
Yeah.
again. And it almost makes me want to ask you, what makes someone memorable? But I know that's such a specific question that happens
Yeah,
subject
I
to
mean, look,
subject,
I think
person to person.
being prepared, doing a great performance, being able to take direction, make
Mm,
choices, like, and again, like, just being a good person, right?
yeah.
Everyone has bad days. We do. You get it. And you can't
Yeah.
always be on and want to have conversations. but I always made my casting and audition rooms warm and welcoming. Look, I knew if an actor walked in and just wanted to get to work, and we got to work. But I also wanted to fall in love with them. And so you talk to them after and you remember things about them. And so you check in, like, how is your kid? Or like, how was that
Mm,
vacation last time you were in the office? Right. And you build up a relationship. And that's what makes you want to fight for actors. And that's what
mm,
makes you want to keep bringing them in. I have always sort of kept a slight personal, professional thing. You know, a lot of casting directors are very friendly with actors, and I do have a ton of friends that are actors. But like, I wanted also for actors to feel respected and to
mm.
have their lives, and it doesn't have to mesh all the time.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, something that might mesh is if you were to be able to whisper something in someone's ear before their audition. And I wonder if you could whisper one thing into an actor's ear before their audition, what would that be?
Just breathe.
Oh, I love that. That's a good reminder in life.
You know, like just take a breath right before
Yes.
and then start.
I love that. Do you ever notice the actors exhale? That's something I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Like before an actor
Yeah.
starts an audition, do you notice people sort of like letting all their air out versus taking air in?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do that a lot. Like, releasing sound, which is what, like, when I studied at NYU, we had a whole class on releasing sound, you know, like during
Mm-hmm.
work. And yeah, there's something to say with like taking a breath, releasing the breath, and then starting the scene, because then you're
Mm.
in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to release a sound right now because we're about to play a surprise game. Boop, boop, cuckoo, cuckoo. I'm going to insert a little theme song here. It's called Casting Keywords. It's a fan favorite segment. I don't know if it
Okay.
is, Seth, but I hope it is. I'll
Okay,
say, I'm going to say a word or a phrase
Okay.
commonly found in your work, in the casting field in general, and you please just respond quickly with the first piece of advice that pops into your head. So it's sort of like word
Okay.
association-ish.
Let's do it.
Okay, I got a lot here. The first one is breakdowns.
Read them.
Oh, that's important. Slates.
Keep them happy.
Okay, wait, I would need to stop on slates for a second because I feel like slates are the part where you can sort of show a little bit of personality without taking it too far. Is
Right.
there like a favorite slate you've seen or something? Like, you
No,
don't
I
want to take
mean,
that in.
just
Okay,
no,
okay.
I mean, just like smiles, keep it like move through it, and like
Yeah, don't
don't
make a
try
bit.
to like make weird jokes because it might not play. So just like
Yeah.
bright and happy, bright and happy.
Oh, right now, B&H. I love that. Early self-tape submissions. So when someone gets it in before
I
the
understand.
deadline.
We don't see it as a bonus.
Okay, interesting. Making a choice.
Imperative.
I think a lot of actors hear that and sometimes they don't really know what that means. So what does it mean to you?
So if you get sides and for some reason you don't have a script, or even if you do get the script, right, you need to make a choice because you might not have ever met the director or spoken to somebody to get their opinion or their take on it. You have to come in with a choice on who the character is, even if it's wrong. If it is a clear choice, then as the casting director, I can say, great audition. Now, what if he was, you know, having just left a funeral and trying to like not be down? I mean, whatever the direction is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's,
I love that.
yeah.
And then walking into his apartment and finding that they took everything and there's a raid. Sorry, I'm going back to Deli Boys. Okay. Audition attire. So what to wear?
Do not go full costume.
I'm going to throw out my lab coat after this.
Please.
Virtual auditions.
I love them. You get to do your best take every single time. Embrace it. Love it. Do it well.
What about like a live one where you're in the session or there's a director session? Yeah.
I mean, great. They're all like any version, like take the audition, right? Look, I've said this repeatedly, so it is well documented. This is how I feel. I think a million more actors who would have struggled for a lot longer years got a leg up when we went to self-tapes. And way more people have bigger jobs now that would have had COVID never happened. And Of course, we are trying to get back into a room and love live audition and want to be there with you and for you and hold you and hug you after your audition tape. But also, like, we get to see a lot more of you, you know?
Mm.
So
Yeah, I love that. I love that outlook. Okay, general meetings.
love them. I have a 98% general to job turnover from my executive days.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it.
What about mindset? So that can apply to the meetings or just even going in physically for an audition.
Here's what a general is for. It is so I can fall in love with you, put you on my go-to list, because I am definitely heart set on finding you a job. And so, like, communicate, be real, open, have a
Mm,
conversation. We want to get to know who you are. We want to know what you like. We want to know what you've read, what movies you're watching, what shows do you like, what shows do you want to be in? Like, who do you emulate as an actor? Like, where did you study? Like, where'd you grow up? Like,
yeah,
like we get like real, and I'm open to sharing too. I mean, there's a lot of actors
yeah.
out there you could find that I've had generals with that have like good things to say, you know.
I'm sure. No,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
seems to. Yeah, I love that. Make it human. I mean, being a human, I think
correct,
that's something
correct.
that gets lost sometimes in all the business sauce
Yeah,
over the years and you
yeah.
get too in your head. So I
I
appreciate
had
that.
one general with Russell Tovey where when I was at Fox, where he said so many things, and we were just like, oh my God, this is so much information and amazing. And like, but you couldn't help but like fall in love with him, right?
Yeah,
Like,
just like
there's,
oversharing. Yeah, just gotta be
yeah,
yourself. If that's
yeah,
your vibe,
yeah,
then that's your vibe. You
yeah,
gotta be you.
yeah,
Be yourself. Did you ever see Just Friends, the Ryan Reynolds movie?
yes.
Okay. Remember when she's like, be yourself, be yourself? Sorry. Improv in auditions.
It's important when you're doing a comedy, but know who, if it's, you don't want to change the entire script.
Mm.
You got to really be careful.
Number of takes, because I think maybe there's a world where you do it exactly as written and then you do an improvised take
Yeah,
or different
I
intention, whatever.
always say, like, send me two so I can pick,
Mm. I love
right?
that.
When you get into like three or four, that's just like
Yeah,
you
don't
knowing
say.
what
How
you're
do you even save that on your phone? How are you even uploading a file that big? I mean, that's wild. Okay. Advice for casting professionals, for anybody listening that wants to get into your world.
Oh, I mean, start watching every single thing you can get your hands on, all genres, all types of, film, TV, anything. Watch it.
I love that.
Take it
Right
in.
now, I'm trying not to watch this hornet assault my window. Don't come in. That'd be crazy. What if I got stung like Ivy? Okay. We we always you won the game. There's no prize, but you won. We always end the show with a gotten and a given. And so every episode ends with the best piece of advice you've gotten in this industry and then the best piece you have to give. And that can be for actors or just in general in the entertainment landscape. But
Right.
Seth, please give us a gotten first.
I was told at the very beginning to keep my mouth shut, my ears open, and listen very carefully at like the big players in the room to understand how it all works.
Mm, that's really good advice. No one said that before.
Yeah.
Pay attention. And if you're an actor, you should love observing, right? We love observations. Okay. And what's the best piece of advice you have to give with all the experience you now have under your belt?
I just be prepared. Like truly, like, do all the research you can do before you enter the room.
Mm,
For actors, this is a job interview. So know how to pronounce every single word in the script. Know where the cities are in the script if they're real. Know what the
mm,
lakes and the mountains are if it's real. Take a listen to the songs that are in the scripts. They all inform what's happening. And my biggest piece to that is like, try to watch something that this creator has created before so you tonally understand what you're walking into.
yeah, that's excellent advice. And
Yeah.
I will say to bring it back to Deli Boys, that's another reason to cast authentically because then you have those people on set who can bring exactly what you were talking about to every moment. And
Yeah.
they can sort of be the representative of whatever community they're representing in that moment.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
they inherently know it.
I believe I got that job because I, embarrassingly did not know there was a war between India and Pakistan, and did research the 2-3 nights before to prepare for the job, learned about it, and then realized as I was going in, like, I can't bring in a list of Indian actors. Like, none of them from Mumbai would, like, I literally would have been not listening to the direction immediately at my meeting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I was going to say, where did you learn how to listen? That's such a valuable skill, but it sounds like it harks back to the first piece of advice you got, which is to,
Yeah. Because I will tell you, in life, it is hard for
Yeah.
me to listen.
Yeah.
So I have to work on listening on a daily basis. And I actually worked with a gal at Fox, who was my boss, who was a very good listener, better than I was.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I appreciate you admitting that. I get that too.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to listen in a podcast setting, but in life, I feel the need to fill the silences. This is going to become my therapy session.
It's hard. It's hard for us,
Yeah.
especially, yeah, we want
Yeah.
to keep things upbeat and happy. And so then jokes come out, and sometimes it's okay to just sit in the silence.
I know it is. Everybody, please. Well, don't sit in the silence now. Keep listening to another episode, maybe. But I love that we shared this time together. I appreciate you so much. I admire you.
I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for being a role model we can all look up to in this industry that's leading with kindness, because we need that just in the world in general. So thank you, Seth. Everybody watch Deli Boys right after you finish listening to this.
On Hulu.
On Hulu, now streaming. Thank you.